a very quick intro about myself. I'm like CEO, founder of this company called Volopay. We automate payables for companies. So that's what we do. And yeah, so I've been pretty much working in the fintech and the payment space for the last 8 odd years. So yeah, and what we hope to achieve is, completely, help companies, startups, specifically startups to start with, and SMEs to automate all their payables. So what we offer is like a corporate card solution. So every employee in a company gets a corporate card. Instead of them reimbursing, your employers can quickly give money into the cards, and they can make expenses of it. And also, employees can just upload their bill payments and bills and just pay to any vendor. B2B payments can be done through our platform. So that's what we offer to the companies. Yeah, that's pretty much very high level view of what Volopay does. Yeah.
Right. Maybe we could share like maybe a bit more with the audiences as well. How did you want to create? I mean, for startups, there's always a very interesting story. There's always some sort of epiphany moment, I would say. So, what exactly did you, actually see in this sphere that you wanted you to start Volopay?
Sure. A little bit, it's a long answer, so bear with me here. Okay, so the answer is something like this, right? Like I used to run straight off my college. I used to run a dev shop, like a dev agency. We scaled it to 50, 60 people, and so I was like basically an owner straight out of college. So the thing is, we made a lot of revenue. Like revenue wise, we had a lot of money, but how much did I actually make? Not a lot. Because the biggest problem I think with all the companies is we really know on a monthly basis what revenue we are earning, but we never have a track of what you're spending. It's a real problem. Like if I look back at my business and if I were to dissect it right now, I can tell you that that's my single biggest problem. That is like we never had a track of what we were spending. I pretty much just know that BD guys spend a lot of money. I have no idea where they spend the money. I know that we spend a lot on subscriptions and all this vendor payments. So that's my that's the whole thing, right? Like that is at the back of my mind. I always knew I not do a good job of financing in my previous business, though we did a very good job building a very good business, right? Like 60 to 70 people. Dev shop is not a small business, but not even a big business, but yeah, somewhere in the middle, right? So that is something was there in the back of my mind. And the second thing is then I actually got the opportunity to work with a couple of payments companies in Singapore. So Matchmo, if you heard of them. So I used to work there, and one of the things that I realized there is the e-wallets, corporate cards, issuance to company. I got to know the whole fintech space, right? They were one of the early movers in Singapore, I would say, and I got to learn that. And that's where I figured out that that's an interesting solution that you have. Like if that was so I think as a company, always they focused on consumers. But I think always, the business cards and the B2B payments, the wire transfers, I think it made more sense for business, that whole solution. So I think that's where I always saw, like, way back, I had the website for, Volopay way back up in 2017. So it is not like a very new idea or something. I always wanted to do something. But the only thing is, just had to highlight this as well. That is a lot of regulatory changes in the last 1 year, which actually enables us to do this, this e-wallets and e-money license issuance for corporates. It has changed a lot, right? If I had to do this in 2017, it is not possible because it was like, it's very, very highly regulated space. You could not do issuance for corporates. But now, MAS has realized that it's a space which corporates can use wallets and everything to give to the employees, and employees can make payments of it. So that's a regulatory change that has enabled us to do this. And that's why you see not just Volopay, right? A couple of others also, I think, who are in the space, who are trying to solve the problem for companies. And that's how I look at it. And that's how I look at this problem. And also, just to take away from this, that is, after I was an employee, I was an employer, I also was an employee at a couple of these companies. And what I can tell you is, I face this problem with every single company. That is, every time I traveled outside, I has to come back, waste 1 or 2 days, just trying to fill in all this reimbursement forms and everything. Totally hated doing it. Second thing was, even I was like, in charge of product teams and everything. Second thing was, just purchasing software was so hard as a team member because you never get access to this corporate debit card. Banks just give you one debit card and you never get access to it. Like, it's a sacred thing, right? How can you give a company corporate card to all your employees to make expenses on behalf of the company, right? So these are like very usual problems that I kept seeing. And I knew this is like a very, very solvable problem with like, e-wallets, the cards and all this stuff, right? So we just wanted to attack that problem. We are like this, unified spend management platform that is like, you come, load money with this, and then we give you cards and the wire transfers, everything combined into one. Then, sorry. Yeah. So like we have already being used by a couple of large companies in the region, like a lot of big tech companies like Tukitaki, Beam, funding societies, Detina, all this like CDC tech companies which really have this problem of accounts payable that are using us. And then what we see as a lot of these expense categories, like if I really look at it, there is T&E, there is employee reimbursements, there is marketing expenses, all this, lot of this online expenses which all need sadly a card to be used. And I would even say vendor payments are slightly hard, because what all you get here is like a very horrible internet banking solution that you get from the banks, which is like just as a maker and checker. It's not the most ideal solution to make a vendor payment in a company, I would say. So, and then there are a lot of problems that with spending that companies see, right? One is reimbursements is hard, right? First of all, company employees are giving a credit line to the to the company, and then you're doing all this paperwork, uploading the receipts, keeping track of it. Not an easy job for finance guys, and finance guys are not hired to do all this data entry work. They are there for a strategic role, but we end up using them for all this data entry work. So, and the second thing is the high FX fees that we actually discussed. And then there is also this lack of visibility for the spend, right? This again was a very important point as I was highlighting about my own company in the past. That is, uh, whatever happens in the bank, like the payments and the card payments, they don't directly feed into your accounting system in real time, right? That's a big loss of and you actually never know what you're spending in real time. That's a huge problem that I see with most companies, and that's something that we are trying to address also. And also cash advances are slightly hard, and I think the accounting reconciliation from the bank to to all the payments made is very hard. And the second thing is the approvals, right? If you really look at it, let's say you have to make a wire transfers, your approvals are still on email, right? Why do you have to keep doing that? It's simply not very efficient is how we see this as a problem. So so one other thing is what we bring in as a solution is like we bring in the control. That is like you can just go on a mobile app, ask for the money that you need, you can instantly get it in your card, or you can just upload your invoice and your managers can approve it, and the wire transfer, either domestic or international, just goes in, right? That's what we have built. And then the second important thing, that the control that I told you, was even the budgeting thing, right? You can actually set budgets and give it to the teams for them to make expenses, so that's very important. And the third thing is even the approval for payments, right? Like you can get approvals from your managers, and there are all these flows that you can set. You can do it in real time. And what we've built is this, then you have virtual cards, which is to this virtual cards on the fly, like software you can issue, like okay, just like that every month it gets $50, give it to an employee cards, I would say. And also we have bill payments. So yeah. So then you have like this, the debit cards. I already mentioned this, that is debit cards can. Now again, if I can shed some light there, right? That is, you must have heard of UTrip, right? Like UTrip is used for by individuals for making all their, whenever they travel abroad, right? Why don't you have an equivalent of UTrip for business? That's exactly what we're building, right? It's like, that's how we pitch it also. That is like, it's a UTrip for business. That is, we help for, you to save FX money whenever you're traveling abroad, whenever your employee is going abroad, just load some money into it and give it to them, right? If you can use it for your personal purpose, you should be using it for your business, because you're spending much more in your business than personally, right? And then the second thing is the virtual vendor card. I think I already described it. Virtual cards are, it's sweeping the payment space generally, in Europe and US and everything, right? But you don't really see banks issuing virtual cards here. It's very weird, right? So, and I think that's, and even thanks to COVID, right? We have seen like 95% of all our payments go on virtual cards. It's very weird. Nobody even knew what virtual cards were, but now all they can bet on, or what they love the most, is a virtual card. Just issue a card on the fly. I'll just issue one and I'll show it to you later, and that'd be good, I think. And the second thing is even the bill payments, right? Like it is like we realized very soon that card payments is still like 10 to 20% of the spends of a company. The bulk of the other payments are usually wire transfers, and I don't think so. The bank internet portals are like capable, like are built the way to solve the vendor payments problem, right? And very expensive cross-border remittances and everything. So that's something that we do. You can get to see this real-time tracking of all the payments that you're doing. That's something that is very good in Volopay, and something that we do really, really well when you compare to any other, software tool or any other banking software is this, right? That is, we connect your accounting softwares. Like Xero is big here. QuickBooks is very big. What we do is we pull in your chart of accounts. We pull in your, your tracking categories, classes, whatever you call it in whatever accounting software that you have. We pull it in. We show it in your accounting software. You can just quickly, just choose one. Or we also learn, right? Once we know that this merchant, this is what it is, we quickly learn the chart of accounts and everything. and our system automatically realizes, okay, this is the GL code for this. This is what it is, and it's like instantly, as soon as you make a payment, it gets its GL code and everything encoded, and it goes and sits in your accounting software. You can't even dream of such a thing from your bank, right? Where even the bank feeds generally don't even work well. So yeah, so that's a little bit of background there. And also, right, like very classic fintech stuff, that is like it comes with insanely good bank security and everything. And then I would just want to end the discussion of this whole presentation by saying that it's extremely cheap to, it's like if you're paying like, let me give it an example, right? If you're paying like $100,000 with your card using your banks, they generally charge you like $3,000, $4,000 as an added FX fees. If you're using it on a Volopay like card, it's just like U-Trip, right? We charge around 1%, 1.2%, right? So basically what you're seeing is, you're saving like 2%. Like that's huge savings for a company, right? Especially on card payments. And the second thing is, even like, when you're sending money abroad, it's way cheaper, extremely cheaper than the banks. And even at times, I can tell you that it's even cheaper than TransferWise's the equivalents of in the region. So that's something that we have enabled through very good partnership with the right people. So that's there.